Gunther won 11 PBA titles and also rolled the second 300 game to be on national television in 1969. He later owned the company that operated Robin Hood Lanes in Edmonds and Georgetown Lanes in Seattle. Hall of Fame bowler John Gunther has died at age 82. Gunther died Wednesday at the Edmonds campus of Swedish Medical Center, where he had been treated for 3.5 weeks for kidney and liver problems, said his daughter, Lynn Ressler of Edmonds. By coincidence, Gunther's only surviving sibling, sister Lois Boyd, 90, died later the same day in an assisted living facility in Bellingham, Ressler said. Mr. Gunther won 11 Professional Bowling Association titles in the 1960s and 1970s, including the 1972 PBA National Championship. His inscription in the PBA Hall of Fame declares that he was one of the most feared bowlers on the lanes and one of the best liked off the lanes. Mr. Gunther won the Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award the first 2 years it was awarded, 1966 and 1967, and shared it with 2 other bowlers in 1970. Most of the bowlers are very easy to get along with, Gunther said in a 1979 Seattle Times interview. Mr. Gunther was installed in the PBA Hall of Fame in 1986 and was ranked No. 45 on the 2009 list of the 50 greatest bowlers in PBA history. His victories included the 1975 Seattle Open in front of his family. Mr. Gunther also is a member of the United States Bowling Congress (WIBC) Hall of Fame. His resume included 2 WIBC Open championships. Mr. Gunther, whose first name was often expanded to Johnny, is perhaps best remembered for rolling a perfect 300 game on national television in 1969 at the San Jose Open. It was the second perfect game to be televised. Before the dramatic final ball, ABC announcer Keith Jackson, who had worked at KOMO TV in Seattle, told the nationwide audience, "There is nothing left to say, let's just watch it." When the pins toppled, the popular Gunther was mobbed by fellow bowlers and officials. Jackson said, "One of the greatest thrills in sports, a perfect game in competition." Mr. Gunther told Jackson on camera, "I can't explain how I felt throwing the last ball. You couldn't hear a thing. I was trying to concentrate on how I threw the last 2 shots. Throw the same shot again. It's nerve-wracking." Jackson handed Mr. Gunther a $10,000 check for the perfect game and Mr. Gunther said, "You'll notice my hand is shaking." The perfect game also won him a Mercury Cougar automobile. Mr. Gunther was the number 4 qualifier in the stepladder final telecast. The historic 300 game was in his second match, against Don Johnson. He went on to beat Billy Hardwick 233-214 and then defeat top-seeded Wayne Zan 268-194 for the title. Mr. Gunther's first PBA victory was in the 1965 Oxnard Open in California, and he set the 8-game pinfall record of 2,022 and the 16-game record of 3,830 on his way to victory. Mr. Gunther was born in Langdon, ND, and his family moved to Seattle in 1947. He graduated from West Seattle High School where he had met his wife, Patricia Ann. They were married in 1956. She died in 2014. They moved to Woodway, adjoining Edmonds, in 1968. Mr. Gunther had flashed bowling brilliance as a teenager, rolling an 809 League Series as an 18-year-old in an elite Seattle Traveling League. He served and bowled in the Army, where his daughter said a colonel handpicked him to be his driver and bowling teammate. Mr. Gunther owned the company that operated Robin Hood Lanes in Edmonds for several years but didn't own the property. His daughter said her father respected bowling traditions, and when it was time to replace lanes, he insisted on maple instead of synthetic material. Eventually, the property was sold and Robin Hood Lanes closed in 2013. Mr. Gunther also had owned and operated G. In addition to daughter Lynn Ressler of Edmonds and son Mark Gunther of Whitefish, Mont Gunther is survived by granddaughters Blair Clumpion of Houston and Lauren McCants of suburban Cincinnati and 2 great-grandsons. A family service is planned. Donations are suggested to the American Heart Association and National Kidney Foundation.